بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. And thank you all so much for joining us live for this pre-order launch of the Barakah Effect book. And if you're watching the recording, thank you also so much for watching this recording. It means a lot to us that you're here to be in this moment. I'm here live in the blessed city of Medina, city of Barakah. And I thought that, subhanAllah, like just a week ago, actually, we didn't actually plan this. It was more about a week ago or 10 days ago. I was like, oh, I'll be in Medina that weekend. Let's go ahead and actually announce the book and pre-order launch in this special day from the special place, inshallah ta'ala. And I'm honored that you're here to be in this journey with me, inshallah ta'ala. But of course, we need to start off by recognizing the context we're in and the situation that's going on in Gaza. It's a situation that for all of us here is really something that we're witnessing, something that's just perhaps unprecedented for our generation. And it is tough. It is tough. It is tough to talk about launching something or doing initiatives when the Ummah is in crisis. But just like I said in my email today, not despite of the situation, but because of the situation, it's a call for us to take those steps, to take those meaningful steps, to work towards improving the state of our ummah, to work towards improving our own state, and to be an ummah that is worthy of the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's take a moment to pray for the shuhada, the martyrs of Gaza, to pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them victory, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates this pain and this suffering they're going through, and to Allah to use us and not replace us, but to be those who are reasons for the Ummah's rise in victory again. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. I want to start off now with a conscious Bismillah. I know that sometimes we attend these webinars, we tend to just rush into webinars and start announcing things. But let's take a moment to take a conscious Bismillah. You're probably coming from work, or you're going to bed, or you're coming from a busy day. Take a moment to say a conscious Bismillah. Say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim meaningfully. And this is one of the elements of Barakah, by the way, that I cover in the book. This taking a moment to take a conscious and meaningful Bismillah. It really adds an element of Barakah. So you say Bismillah before you start working, Bismillah before you check your phone, Bismillah before you eat, Bismillah before you start doing anything. Consciously, not just saying Bismillah as lip service, consciously, it definitely adds an element of Barakah. So let's add an element of Barakah and consciously say Bismillah for this webinar and for seeking beneficial knowledge together, inshallah. All righty. So I'm here in the city of Medina, and there is a beautiful hadith that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allahumma ja'al bil madinati da'afay ma ja'alta bi Makkah min al barakah. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua, a special dua for Medina. He goes, oh Allah, bestow on Medina twice the barakah you bestowed on Mecca. Now imagine Mecca with all the barakah in Mecca. There's barakah of the place itself. There's a barakah of the people who were the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and him built in Kaaba. Barakah of Zamzam, the barakah of so many of Hajj that happens there every single year. Think about all the barakah that's in Mecca. And Prophet Muhammad asked for Allah to double and twice the barakah of Mecca in Medina. So it's definitely a special place and a place that teaches a lot of barakah. And I'm sure all of you, for those who visited this blessed city, you would feel it as you enter the city. You would feel the barakah in the city, feel it in the people you meet, in the food you eat, in just the interactions you have in this beautiful city. And it's something that I've always been sort of obsessed with, this topic, this idea of barakah. I still remember very, very early on when I was very young, kind of going through the alleyways of Medina sometimes, hearing the Quran blasted from some of the stores, getting some bread and getting some jam and eating. Those memories of barakah from Medina are very, very powerful. So it's something to reflect on. And this is one of the reasons where I said, you know what, since I'll be in Medina, let's take this moment to talk about the Barakah Effect book and launch it from this place, inshallah. But this journey started way, way long time ago. For those who have been following us, and I'd love to see how many of us follow us since like the beginning. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've been with us from like the beginning, the black and white days. Oh my goodness, mashallah. Quite a few of you here, mashallah, mashallah. Wow, okay, jazakumullah khair. Honestly, you guys have been incredible. And some of you might remember this journey. And this might be a memory down memory lane. One of the early hadith that made me link this idea of spirituality to productivity was this hadith. بورك لأمتي في بكورها. The early hours are blessed for my nation. There's barakah in the early hours. And I remember when I first wrote that, when I first, was writing about productivity and getting things done, and coming across this hadith and how this hadith actually helped us, teaches us one of the most fundamental sort of concepts in productivity circles, that you get a lot done in the morning. And the reason why there's a lot of mainstream productivity experts. It's like, if you want to get things done, get it done in the morning, and they can't explain why. And this hadith taught us that there's barakah in the early hours, and there's barakah in the early hours. That's just one of the biggest lessons. That was my aha moment. My aha moment, realizing there's something in our deen that's very, very special that we need to teach the world, this idea of barakah. And then came, of course, the Barakah Muslim book in 2016. And in the book, I kind of mentioned barakah. I didn't go deep into it. I talked about spiritual productivity, spiritual energy. How many of you read the book? Can you raise your hands to see how many of you read the book? Just to see how many have the book. Okay, quite a few of you. All right, mashallah, quite a few there. So for those who read the book, you probably remember that I spoke about the barakah, spiritual energy, but very lightly. I didn't go deep. At that point, I was still formulating my ideas about barakah, and I haven't really gone deep into it. Then in 2017, something really interesting happened. One of my friends, Chris Killable, who decided he has this massive conference called World Domination Summit. I know it sounds very scary, but it's not. It's just a bunch of authors and writers who, decided to discuss, authors and entrepreneurs, talk about just general topics about entrepreneurship and authorship. And Chris invited me to give a keynote address on any topic I wanted. So I decided to talk about barakah. And this was really, again, there was this moment where the topic of barakah resonated even with the non-Muslim crowd. This is a majority non-Muslim crowd. And people came up to me afterwards and say, hey, that barakah stuff is amazing. Like, what is this barakah? Where do you get this barakah thing? So it's incredible, this topic that resonated not just with Muslims, but even non-Muslims as well. And that was 2017. But till then, I had no idea, no plans to write a book about barakah. I was just exploring, just discovering, and you were there with me in that journey. So in 2018, I thought, what if we can define not just barakah as a concept, what if we can talk about barakah culture? And trying to put it side by side with, at that point, what was known as hustle culture, this idea of hustle culture. I never felt comfortable, especially I was in a productivity circle, never felt comfortable with hustle culture. Something was off with it. So I talked about barakah culture and the importance of barakah culture. And that infographic, that article really resonated with a lot of you. I don't know if you remember that article. For those who read the article, infographic, raise your hand. So yes, so if you remember that article, and that's just been again one of those articles that just went what we didn't expect. I didn't expect it to just get so much interest, especially Muslim professionals and beyond. People saying, yes, we need more barakah culture. And again, at that point, 2018, still haven't decided to write a book about barakah. Still didn't even imagine I'll be writing a book about barakah. We're just exploring. Then in 2018, you know what? When this whole idea of barakah culture became almost like too big to ignore. A lot of people started resonating, say, hey, listen, that barakah stuff, we need more of that stuff. We decided to rebrand ourselves. Do you remember the orange guy, guys? Abu Productive Orange Guy? So the orange guy decided to become the Productive Muslim Company. And we said, you know what? Our mission is to spread barakah culture. And we made that mission loud and clear in 2018. But now the question was like, well, how are you going to spread this mission? So we started first with an emblem, the whole barakah logo. Because up until that point, we didn't actually, that logo, we kind of borrowed it from somebody else. But alhamdulillah, worked with the wonderful designers, Inspired Design, and Sister Suraya Saeed, who was the original calligrapher, who actually put together the barakah emblem. And we kind of adopted it with their permission, adopted it as the official symbol of barakah culture for what we're doing. And then we started doing these barakah culture cards. You remember the barakah culture cards? I don't know how many of you guys have these cards. These are the cards with the mindsets, the values, rituals. I worked with my team. We came up with this 17 mindsets, 17 values, 17 rituals that define barakah culture. Again, up until this point, no book was planned. We were just talking about, we're just exploring. And then your feedback and your support is what kept us going. And that's why I want to say, this is a celebration of you and your support, because without your support, without your feedback, if none of you, if this does not resonate with you, probably there'll be no book today, but you were there the whole way. Jazakumullah khair. So 2019, I came to this exact hotel, probably exact hotel room. It looks very familiar. And I decided to say, I want to write down a small ebook on barakah culture. That was my intention. So I came to Medina and I said, let me sit down and write a small ebook on Barakah culture. Problem is, I forgot my trusted journal. So I forgot my trusted journal. I didn't have any writing pads. I had limited time. So I took these hotel notepads, literally like small scraps of paper, hotel notepads, and I went to the city, to the Prophet's mosque. And I sat in the Prophet's mosque between Asr and Maghrib. That's all the time I had. And I said, okay, maybe not I want to write a book, but let me write 100 words that define Barakah culture. And alhamdulillah, the Barakah Culture Manifesto was born, which became later on became the bulk of the book, of the Barakah book. But again, at that point, I was not planning to write a book. I just thought I'll just write a manifesto, some kind of a message, a way to capture Barakah culture in 100 words or less. And that was born in 2019. Then also 2019, we launched the Barakah Academy. I don't know if you remember Barakah Academy. We have been lifetime members of Barakah Academy. You guys with us? That was called version 1, right? We launched and 2 years later we kind of shut it down because there was all sorts of issues with it. But we started that. And at that point, we promised, can we have a platform that talks about Barakah Academy? And maybe there's some good news about Academy, which I won't say today. It's another day, but just keep that in mind, inshallah ta'ala. And then also during COVID, everyone's going live stream. So we launched the Living with Barakah show. I don't know if you guys remember that during COVID days. We launched the Living with Barakah show where I was interviewing different people about how they lived with Barakah. I was sharing some thoughts on Barakah. And again, throughout this journey, this was the moment I actually made the intention to write a book about Barakah was probably around 2019. I was exploring, I was asking a few people. And then, when sometimes you meet people and they look at you in the eye and says, maybe you should write this book. I'm like, oh no. And that was the moment that started the journey of the Barakah book. But till 2019, it was still an idea, it was still a thought. And all of you were contributing towards the thoughts, the stories, the case studies, and just being part of this movement. And then finally, what really tipped the scales for us, what really said there is something very special here, was with the launch of Barakah Journal. How many of you were there in the original Barakah Journal campaign, the Launch Good campaign, where we went to the Launch Good campaign thinking we're going to raise maximum $20,000 to print the Barakah Journal. And within 10 days, we raised over $115,000 to print over 6,000 Barakah Journals. Until today, Barakah Journal is one of our top sellers in our store. And again, that just told me that there is this thirst. There's this thirst for knowing more about how to live a life of barakah, and hence we had to write this book down, alhamdulillah. So this all to say is that you have been part of this journey throughout. And I got to give a huge shout out to everybody who joined our Slack community and interacted there, everybody who supported all our campaigns with Barakah, everybody who signed the Barakah Academy and our masterclasses, anyone who attended live certification programs, retreats, and just anyone who showed up with our live webinars. All of you have been throughout this journey. And I say Jazakumullah khair, because with you, we planted the seeds together. We followed the breadcrumbs. Again, we didn't have this grand vision, writing a book in 10 years' time. We were just following the breadcrumbs, seeing whatever comes up, and we started following it. We nurtured this movement together. We detached results. We didn't know where this was going, but we just followed through. And today, you are the fruits that's beyond our wild expectations. Today, all of you who are showing up here, showing us your support, really is a moment for us to say Jazakumullah khair, because without your support, without us, without your feedback, without your continuous showing up, without you being on this journey with us, then perhaps this journey would not even exist. This book would not exist. So I just want to say right at the beginning here, thank you. Jazakumullah khair. Your support meant a lot, and really appreciate you. And I hope and I pray that we can continue on this journey, because guess what? We're just starting. I know, I was talking like 10 years of thing now, but we're just starting. We're just starting. All of this was just a prelude. All this is a build up to where we are here, inshallah ta'ala. So think of this Barakah culture as a movement. And if you think of any movement, there is usually a symbol, right? And we have a symbol. There's usually a community, and we have a community on Slack. And there's some kind of body of knowledge, right? The articles, the journals, the webinars here and there. But there were two missing pieces. The first piece is the book, right? A manual, something that captures everything. What does this Barakah culture mean? What it is, what it's not. And secondly, you, the supporters, the ambassadors, the champions who are going to take this Barakah culture movement to the world. You see, we can't do this on our own. In the end, the book is just a book. But when you take this message and say, no, this is not just a message that Mohammed Faris wrote. This is a message we all need to adopt, a message of spread spreading this idea of Barakah culture globally, then you come in the picture and you're part of this story as well. It's not a story of Productive Muslim Company. It's not a story of myself. It is your story, the story of us stepping up and saying there's a different way of living and we need to talk about it and be open about it. And this is what the Barakah Culture and Barakah Effect book is about, inshallah. So for those of you who are new, though, before I go into the book, talk about what's in the book, I want to give a quick overview of Barakah and Barakah culture for those who are new, because I want to ensure that we're not sort of, we're all on the same page here. Can I get a show of hands? How many of you are new here? So again, we have 100 people who join us. Can you show us how many of you are here? So okay, a few people are new here. All right. So for those who are new and for those who are not new, inshallah, this will be a good revision for you. Let's start off with, what is Barakah? What is Barakah? So type in the chat, what is Barakah? If you can type in the chat, let me know what is Barakah. Most people define Barakah in one word. What is Barakah? Bismillah. All right, blessing, increase, blessings, blessing. Yes. If you've been through my class, you're not allowed to answer. Okay, blessings. Yes. All right. So a lot of us talk about Barakah as blessing. But honestly speaking, when I started exploring and researching this word, it's a lot deeper. It's a lot deeper. And in fact, I actually struggled to define it. It took me a while to define it. So I want to share some definitions I got from historically and also recently, inshallah, and I hope you find beneficial. And then I'm going to summarize it into one definition, which I hope we can all agree on. So Imam Raghib Asfahani, he defines barakah as the attachment of divine goodness to a thing. Meaning, when there is barakah in something, so imagine something, could be your time, could be your wealth, could be your children, could be your apartment, could be a home, could be your car. When there's barakah attached to it, there is that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attaches his divine goodness, this is what we call barakah, there's something happens to that thing, right? Maybe the car or the wealth or the children. Talk about this barakah effect that happens. So that's one definition. But I started asking some more modern scholars, like, what is barakah? Dr. Samir Mahmood, he's a professor. And he said, barakah is a spiritual energy or force that emanates from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that enters into people, places, objects who become conduits for this kind of energy. So imagine that sometimes you see people and you go to places like Medina and you see there's a conduit for barakah. It's like a vehicle for barakah. But this comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a key thing. Sometimes we think that barakah comes from people. No, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who then sometimes passes energy through people as well and through places. Dr. Abdullah Rahman, who famous Islamic psychologist, therapist, and psychologist, and he wrote many books, and also he's one of the leading researchers in this field. He goes, it's an abundant, flowing, positive energy that it is a result of being aligned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you're aligned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when you feel the barakah. Again, when someone is not aligned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when you don't feel the barakah. This is something that's very important as well, we'll talk about as well. Dr. Tamara Gray, she talks about barakah is a spiritual force that comes to a person's life and brings increase without a defined input. Like sometimes you see this increase, whether increase in your wealth, increase in your happiness, in your peace of mind, without a defined input. You can't explain it. Almost so hard to even explain to people. You invite people over to your house and you expect 5 people, but then 10 people show up and you have like limited food and you're getting stressed out. Like, oh my goodness, I don't have enough food for everybody, but there's always enough food and there's like leftovers. Don't know how. That's barakah. Dr. Khalid Abdul Rashid, he's a chaplain at Harvard University. He goes, barakah is a mystical experience, a form of communication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you find barakah in your time, barakah in your children, barakah in your wealth, that is a form of communication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a very powerful, powerful concept. So I was looking at all these definitions and more, and I'm like, hey, how would I define barakah? So I came with this 4-part definition, which is covered in the book. Barakah is a gift, right? It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes this gift comes to whoever Allah wishes, right? And number 2, it enters into things, right? It can enter into things that are tangible, intangible. It could be, for example, enters into your wealth, your children, your time, your smartphone, your laptop, your car, your apartment, your home, your travel, your job, your project. It can enter into, and also intangible ideas, right? So barakah is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, enters into things, tangible, intangible. Now, when it enters into these things, something happens. This what I call Barakah Effect. Think of like a spiritual multiply effect. Think about it almost like this special thing that happens. I'll talk more about what does it mean to have this Barakah Effect. But this Barakah Effect, when it happens, it brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. right? And that's why sometimes that's why I don't like the definition barakah is blessings, because you might see somebody who is blessed, but if that blessing turns them away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think about Fir'aun, right? Had a lot of wealth, had a lot of, wealth and power, but he turned away from Allah Ta'ala. So that's not barakah. But think of Sulaiman alayhi salam, also a lot of wealth, a lot of power, but brought him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So barakah is a gift that enters into things, and there's a barakah effect. Sometimes you see this, sometimes this effect happens physically in real life. You see this increase, you see this growth, but sometimes it could be almost like unseen. Sometimes it's like could be a peace of mind, could be stability, could be calm despite the challenges. And that all of that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to pause here. Does this make sense? Right? Does it make sense? Okay, awesome. Yes, great. Okay. So this again, sometimes we tend to some complicated things, right? We're not trying to simplify it. This is what I try to do in the book. I was trying to simplify a very difficult concept. Again, I don't believe we've captured the entire meaning of barakah, but it's an attempt to try to understand and explain it to others, inshallah. So how do you experience barakah? And barakah is it's an experiential thing, right? That's why sometimes it's hard to explain barakah. Like an example I gave you. When we wake up in the morning and you get so much work done, you can't explain it logically. You're like, I don't know, it's the same amount of hours I have in the afternoon, but I get so much work done in the morning. That's barakah. Like sometimes you get barakah when you give charity and you feel barakah in your wealth. Or barakah, for example, like I said, when you invite people over and you think there's not enough food, but there's always enough food, for example. It's experiencing barakah. It's an experiential thing. And that's sometimes we tend to forget. And that's why it's so hard to explain, because we think, oh, it's not logical, right? It's not like 1 + 1 = 2. I get confused. It's not, we don't find it's logical, but barakah is experiential, because again, it's related to the divine, related to something that's spiritual. So how to experience barakah? Well, experience barakah in 3 ways in a physical world level, right? In a real world level. One is increase. That's how we normally talk about barakah. We see barakah, mashallah, somebody had a boom in their business, so mashallah, a lot of barakah there, right? Or we see lots of children, so mashallah, a lot of barakah in their children, right? So when there's a boom, there's an increase, we're saying that's barakah. But also there's other ways. Sometimes it's not about only increase. Sometimes it's stability, right? When people went through COVID, and you have stability in your job, stability in your marriage, stability in your home, stability in your mental health, right? That's a form of barakah. Also, sometimes continuity, right? When, let's say, you start a project, yes, it's not increasing, not exploding, but it's continuous. You've been going for the last 10 years. You've been supporting this orphanage for the last 15 years. You've been doing something for the last 10 years. You've been memorizing the Quran for the last 10 years. It's continuity. It's not stability. It's not growth, but it's continuity. So these are ways that barakah may manifest itself. Sometimes, again, we feel like, oh, there's no barakah in my life, right? I was doing a workshop in Singapore a few weeks ago, and I said, how many people have experienced barakah? And like a few people raised their hand. Then I explained this. I'm like, how do you experience barakah now? And like almost everyone raised their hand. They're like, well, yes, maybe I don't see the big increase in my bank account, big increase in my increase, but I have this stability, this continuity, and that's barakah. But that's only the physical manifestation barakah. There's also unseen manifestations of barakah. When you find deep inner peace, right? You're going through a tough time, but you're feeling this deep inner peace. That's barakah. When you find ease, right? Facilitation, tasheel, right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes things easy, even though it's a tough situation or you're not sure how things work out, but this, Allah makes things easy. That's also from a barakah. When you have what I call non-material sustenance, for example, an idea that pops in your head that changes the world, or a word of support. Someone sends you a random message or random forward, right? And it's exactly what you needed to hear, that exact same moment. That's also barakah. So words of support, people sending you messages, supporting you, add ideas, insights. Maybe you have 10 people who's reading the same book, but one person has an insight that no one else has. That's also barakah. So barakah is not only what we see. Barakah is not only the material that we see, the material result of what we see, but sometimes the unseen manifestations. So now I want to ask you, how many have experienced barakah? How many have seen barakah in your life, whether materially or the unseen, or the unseen, whether you've seen it through physical manifestations, through increase, through stability, through continuity, or through inner peace, ease and facilitation, or non-material sustenance. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes we tend to not see the barakah in our lives. We always say, put your barakah goggles on, put your barakah glasses on. You'll be noticing so much barakah. You might be thinking they're going through a tough time. You have all these issues, But I was like, put your barakah goggles on and see how much barakah you have in your life. Whether it's barakah in your children, barakah in your time, barakah in your wealth, barakah in that work you do, barakah in the unseen. And it just opens up a whole different way of experiencing, and it makes you more grateful, really grateful for all these gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's coming to you that perhaps you didn't recognize before. Allahu alam. So I like to explain barakah using maths, even though I'm not that good at maths, but I'll try. So here's for those who read my first book, you probably remember this definition. I said that productivity is energy, focus, and time. I should have tested you guys. Dang, forgot it. So productivity is energy, focus, and time. What, if you want to be productive, you got to have energy, got to have focus, and you got to have time. So that's going to be one form of, that's how you measure productivity. If if I don't have energy, if I'm so tired, I cannot be productive. If I have energy, but I lack focus, I cannot be productive. If I have energy and focus, but I don't have enough time, I cannot be productive. So that's going to be the definition we use for productivity. Now, barakah is like the missing soul of productivity. It's called the missing beta factor, right? Barakah, and when you have barakah in our energy, you might be tired, but you still are able to do a lot of things. You might have so much things in your mind, but there's barakah in your focus. You focus on the right things. You might have so many things on your plate, but there's barakah in your time, and you get so much work done. And also, when you have barakah in your energy, barakah in your focus, barakah in your time, the results and outcome are beyond expectations. For example, I always admire and look back at the scholars we have in our history and heritage, and how prolific they were with their writing. There was so much barakah in their energy, barakah in their focus, barakah in time. They produced so many works of work. Imam Nawawi, for example, how much work he produced, and he died in his 40s. When you think about Al-Ghazali, for example, and some of his work you read, which is written 700 years ago, which is still beneficial today. In fact, when I was researching this book, I came across a book written on barakah, written by Imam Shaybani from Yemen, which is 700 years ago. So it's mind-boggling how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved their energy, preserved their work, preserved their productive work till today. So that there's something there. Yes, put energy, put focus, put time, but don't forget about attracting barakah in your energy, attracting barakah in your focus, attracting barakah in your time. So when you take a moment to pray Fajr and before you start your day, that is attracting barakah in your day. When you do adhkar in the morning, that's you attracting barakah to your day. When you recite Quran, even though you're so busy, that's one way to attract barakah in your time. So all of these things we learn about, the mindsets, the various rituals, they help us become barakah, help us feel about, experience the barakah in our day-to-day productivity as well. But of course, if I ask anyone here, how many of you feel that we've lost barakah, right? How many feel that there's something that is missing? I feel like there's no barakah in my time, no barakah in my wealth, no barakah in my children. I feel like we've lost barakah. And there is this, hadith that honestly probably captures our situation now. Prophet Muhammad said, the hour will not be established. The hour, meaning day of judgment, will not be established until time passes rapidly, such that a year is like a month is like a week is like a day is like an hour, and an hour is like the flicker of a flame. How many of you feel time is going so fast? Like you can bet it's like, whoa, a year passed already, and like, oh, we're almost now when October, really? And then sometimes you think, oh, subhanAllah, the Ramadan is about to come. So how do you feel like the time passes so quickly? Now, some of you can read this hadith and think, oh my goodness, khalas, day judgment is coming, let's just buckle down and just hide. But also remember another hadith Prophet Muhammad taught us, said, when you see, when the hour begins, when the day judgment begins, and in your hands you have a palm tree, a date palm tree, plant it, right? And the point there is that even when we are sure that Qiyamah is coming close, even when we're sure that we're going through some tough times in Ummah, even though sure we think, khalas, the day of judgment about to start, we still maintain our positive outlook of life and seek the barakah and have impact and be purpose impact driven. And isn't that a reminder for us all of what's happening right now in the ummah, that we don't just raise our hands and give up, or we don't say, oh khalas, the qiyam is coming, we might as well just sit back. We actually proactively have purpose, have impact, and proactively seek the barakah in every moment to the last moment, inshallah ta'ala. That's exactly where we are, inshallah ta'ala. So this idea of barakah culture versus hustle culture. So one thing that I was talking about, barakah not only as a concept, but as a culture. Because again, when you read these books and historical books, and this is one of the reasons I struggled doing research for this book, because I went around asking, is there a book on barakah? And the answer I got is there's no one book on Barakah. Of course, Barakah is mentioned many, many books, but there's no like one book about Barakah, because Barakah was like water. You know the famous story when they say, the goldfish ask him, like, they ask, what's water? Like, because they're swimming in water, they don't actually realize all around us. It was a culture. This idea of Barakah was a culture. People were adopting the mindsets, the values, the rituals of Barakah culture. It's only in the last 120 years where we started shifting towards becoming hustle culture. We become more egocentric versus God-centric. We become more personal success driven versus purpose impact driven. We become more worldly focused versus hereafter focus on material results instead of focusing on God acceptance. Never being satisfied versus being content and ambitious. Seeking credit, having a scarcity mindset versus being grateful and having an abundant mindset. A lot of people think there's not enough. There's not enough, not enough. Well, it is enough. From distracted, rushed, and busy to being focused, tranquil, present, right? One of the badge of honors is oh my God, I'm so busy, right? If you ask somebody, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy. If they tell you, no, I'm free, that means something wrong, right? You feel like something's wrong with them. But actually being focused, tranquil, present is a hallmark of Barakah culture. Sense of entitlement, think, oh, I deserve this, versus sense of responsibility. When big moves, short-term pivots versus small, consistent, long-term effort. Right, and I go into detail. For those of course have not read this article, I go into detail explaining each of these and why these are important. And in the book, I go into more detail, because this is where we need to ask ourselves, where are we in this chart? Are we more in the hustle culture? Or can we push ourselves more Barakah culture? Now, I'll be honest, most of us are in like halfway here, right? We're kind of halfway hustle culture, halfway Barakah culture. But this book is trying to invite us all to kind of start pushing ourselves a little bit more on Barakah culture. How can we be more God-centric? How can we be more purpose impact driven? How can we be more hereafter focused? How can we be more focusing on Allah's acceptance in our work? How can we be more content, have rida? How many can we be more grateful, have abundance mindset? How can we be more focused, tranquil, present versus distracted all the time? How can we have more sense of responsibility, not just to ourselves and our families, but to the ummah at large? How can we think of more long-term effort? These are sort of questions this book is asking, inshallah ta'ala. So one of the things that we talk about in the book as well is the idea of the 5 pillars of hustle culture. Like, what led to us adopting hustle culture? And by hustle culture is the culture where we feel like we need to hustle, and work becomes religion by itself. Or we are defined by our work, right? Work becomes the de facto, almost a religion by itself, because we put so much importance on work and not centered within the context of being God's slaves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the 5 pillars of hustle culture. Number 1, talk about materialism. We've forgotten the idea of the unseen. In fact, we feel uncomfortable talking about the unseen. When was the last time we went to work and talked about akhirah, right? We just don't talk about it. Even sometimes in Islamic organizations, we talk about we're very materialistic. Materialism has been a big factor there. Individualism is about me, myself, and I, right? And about me feeding. And these are extreme versions. Of course, we'll always have some materialism in our lives. We'll always have some individualism in our lives. But we talk about extreme version, extreme materialism, extreme individualism, extreme consumerism, extreme capitalism, and extreme fear of death, right? Now, all of us have some of this, but when it goes to extreme, when all we're obsessed with materialism, obsessed with this individualism, obsessed with consumerism and just buying more things, obsessed with with hoarding and not sharing, and then this traumatic fear of death sometimes makes us go and do things that sometimes is because out of fear of death. These are what drives hustle culture. And think about Islam. Islam came as an antidote to hustle culture, because for materialism it says, hey, believe in the unseen. When you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Rasulullah, what are you doing? You're believing in the unseen. You have not seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you're believing in the unseen. When you have the iman billah, malaikati wa kutubi rusuli, when you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messengers and his books and the angels and the day of judgment and the grave and the qadar, that is you believing in the unseen world, right? So when you believe in the unseen world, that shifts you towards Barakah culture. From individualism to salah, which is done in jama'ah, right? You might want to do your own prayers, but in the 5 daily prayers, encourage doing jama'ah, to going in jama'ah, going to the mosque, praying together. that's a form of kind of removing this individualism and actually going and praying together. And right now in Madinah Munawwara, right now it's like it's it's cramped, and you have to ask for permission. You don't find a nice empty spot. You have to really have to work with others, and and tug your brother, please give me some space, inshallah, I can pray. That teaches you not about yourself. We all pray, Ihdina Sirat Mustaqim, Allah guide us to straight path, not guide me to straight path, guide us to the straight path. When you talk about consumerism, and actually consumerism is actually about fasting. When you talk about fasting challenges consumerism, because it says, instead of saying buy yes your nafs all the time, you're saying no, I'm going to hold back, right? I'm not going to just say yes to whatever my nafs needs. I'm going to hold back. And sometimes consumerism, that's how we treat ourselves. Instead of just buying everything we want to buy, we're going to hold ourselves. That helps with that. Fasting teaches us that. And zakah is a way for us to deal with extreme capitalism, where we want to hoard and not want to share. Zakat kind of forces, no, you have to share, right? That comes in with that. And fear of death, well, guess what? Hajj is the biggest rehearsal for death, right? When you dress up literally in those white cloths, which we will be buried in, that's the biggest rehearsal for the death and day of judgment. So the 5 pillars of Islam are like antidotes to hustle culture, and they're pulling us towards Barakah culture. And this is what we're trying to teach there in the book as well. Does this make sense? Make sure, again, does this make sense, inshallah? Yes? Okay. Alhamdulillah. Awesome. Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. So now start to think about, well, how do I bring this sort of lifestyle, right? This is a question I have. How do you get barakah, right? How do you get barakah in your life? How do you live this, right? Because we know these concepts. There's nothing new here. These concepts. We understand these concepts, but a lot of time we miss the practical part. We miss the kind of understanding it within our modern context, right? Sometimes when you read Islamic books or books written a long time ago, you have concepts, you have ideas, but then it's hard to say, well, what does it mean for me today? How does it apply to my life today? And that's what we're trying to do with the Barakah Effect book. The Barakah Effect book is a practical guide in the English language to understand what it means to live a life of barakah, like on a very practical way. And this is what this sort of book, and what started off as just an idea, a thought, has now become this book, because it took me a while to sit, well, what does it mean to live this life of barakah? And alhamdulillah, we had some great reviewers who have read the book and have found it beneficial. We have Ibrahim Tahir, who's the founder of one of the books in Singapore. He said that this book has rediscovered a vocabulary and grammar with which Muslims aspiring to lead more productive lives may use to formulate their goals and communicate their mission in ways that are authentic to their faith. A lot of times when we talk about goal setting or being productive, we tend to import ideas from others, versus us coming up with our own way of seeing things, our own faith-based way of seeing things. It presents not just an antidote to the soul-crushing rat race we all face, but a systematic, holistic, and life-changing solution towards harmonizing dunya work with a focus on akhirah. That's one of the reviewers by Ibrahim Tahir. Imam Dr. Abdul Khalid Rashid, who is the chaplain at Harvard University, again, had the honor. He read the book. He said this should be required reading for Muslim professionals in all careers. It's a tour de force, a book of anyone looking for the path to comprehensive success in their professional endeavors, as well as people of faith. This is from Dr. Khalid Rashid, and also from Dr. Bilal Rothman. Again, he also reviewed the book, and he talks about that the Barakah Effect book unveils a universal reality, revealing a practical approach to spiritual law in a contemporary world where the unseen and the sacred has become distant fiction, right? A lot of us think like, akhirah and, unseen God. We think of distant fiction. The book's trying to demystify this and make it more like a lived experience. It's not essential really for connecting us with a sacred relationship with the divine reality. It offers a simple, clear guide to implementing ancient wisdom within our perceived mundane lives. So again, these are all, people that I've respected and was honored to get their review of the book early on. And it's just, again, the idea that how can we bring those concepts of barakah into our modern life? So what is covered in the book? Well, the book is actually divided into 2 parts. The first part is understanding what barakah is. So I try to spend some time, about 5 chapters, really defining what barakah is. But the second part is the manifesto that I wrote here in Medina, is basically taking each line in this manifesto and expanding a chapter on it. So the first word in this manifesto, the first one of the chapters is Bismillah. So I talk about Bismillah. I talk about, actually, I'm going to expand this a little bit so it's easy to read. Bismillah. So start every action with sincere intention. Ask Allah for help. That's another chapter. Talk about sincerity, the importance of sincerity, the importance of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. Life is not about you, it's about serving your Lord with excellence. Talk about being slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why it's so important to have this abd mindset, of Allah, being a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does that mean in terms of living a life of barakah? Thank Allah for what you have and seek His sustenance beautifully. Talks about being grateful and have an abundance mindset. We talk about, for example, be like a gardener, focused, hardworking, gentle, and trust Allah with the results, right? So this gardener mindset. Some of you might be familiar with the work on gardener mindset. Cherish your parents and treat them with mercy and compassion. That's also a form of source of barakah. Talk about parents and relationship between parents and children. Plant seeds whose harvest will benefit generations to come. How to think long-term, how to have an akhirah mindset. And also, finally, pray and persisting for your goals until you achieve one guide what's better. So how to set goals in a meaningful way, and how to pray for your goals. Remembering death often to stay focused on what matters. I talk about how remembering death is actually one of the most important tools we have to stay focused and actually stay productive and have meaningful lives. And finally, the final chapter, which is perhaps, for me, my favorite chapter, is sending abundant salawat upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how the just understanding the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, understanding his daily routine, understanding that he really represented the mindsets, the values, the rituals that help us live a life of barakah. This is our biggest, if you talk about how to live life barakah, here's our basic example, biggest role model. So talk about his role model and the importance of understanding the life of Sallam and following his footsteps, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And finally, I end with alhamdulillah, just acknowledgement of those people who helped me in the book, inshallah. So these are the book chapters. The first, like I said, the first 5 chapters, the first 4 chapters is part of part 1, understanding barakah. So talk about what is barakah, how we lost barakah, and I go into detail how we lost barakah. Talk about Barakah culture, the manifest and the alternative hustle culture. I'll talk about the framework of barakah, the mindset, values, rituals. And then chapter 5 till chapter 14, like I said, I expanded on each of these statements in the manifesto, explaining how each of these statements help us live a life of barakah. Each chapter is full of stories, examples, and I end each chapter with practical tips so that you can, start to really understand what it means. So we try to make this like a easy to read self-help book. It's not an academic book. It's not a book that you need like dictionaries to hopefully read. It's an easy to read book. For those of you who read the Productive Muslim book, this is very similar style, but even written in a much more sort of quote unquote self-help-ish style. So a lot of stories, a lot of examples, a lot of practical tips. So inshallah, when you read this book, you find that you find this is a manual for you, a reference guide for you to start following, inshallah. So that's going to be the Barakah Effect book, inshallah. So how can you get the book? Well, glad you asked. So inshallah, today we're honored that the pre-orders is available. You can go to productivemuslim.com/Barakah Effect book, or scan this QR code. I'll ask my team members to post it in the chat, inshallah, and you can actually order the book today. Now, it will be shipped in Rajab. So right now, as we're speaking, the books are being printed in Turkey, and they'll be shipped from Turkey in about a couple of weeks to our warehouses. Some will come to the US, some will go to UK, some will go to Malaysia, Singapore. So we'll be shipping worldwide. So we're saying that by Rajab 1445, which is in a couple of months, or January 24, inshallah, you'll get the book. And for those who pre-order, you'll be the first in line. So which means that you might even get the book before the release date. The official release date is the 26th of January, which is our 15th Rajab, but we're expecting the book, inshallah, hopefully much earlier, depending on the printing situation, but that's what we're hoping for. So if you go ahead and scan this book, and I'll ask the team, inshallah, to put this link inside the chat, and you can go ahead and pre-order books. There's 3 levels of support if you wanted to be part of this journey. The first one, if you're just curious about the book and you want to read it but not sure what it is, you can get what is called a collector's edition. This is a hardcover book, and it's a collector's edition, inshallah. It is a big book, I'll tell you from now, but inshallah, it's a big book that you enjoy reading. And you get a collector's edition sticker. So whenever, inshallah, if you ever, later on, years later, when someone says, hey, we have one of the first copies of the Barakah Effect book, this, inshallah, is something that only for those who pre-order during the pre-order phase, inshallah. And this is for what we call Barakah Culture Supporter. You simply want to support us. We appreciate you. And hopefully you also benefit from this book. However, I'm hoping that, again, like I said early on, this is not just about a book. This is about us spreading this message and saying we need to live a life of barakah. We need to be people, conduits of barakah. We need people who spread this message of barakah culture. Well, there is what we have is called Barakah Culture Ambassador. So this is for 3 packs. You get 1 book for yourself, and 2, which I encourage you to gift it to your friends or family, inshallah. So with this, as a thank you for getting the 3 books, we're going to have some fun stuff in there, like laptop stickers, pins, coasters, and a tote bag. And also you'll be joining a 5-day online Barakah Culture Ambassador Bootcamp. So in this 5 days, I'll be teaching you 5 things you need to know to teach people about Barakah culture. Could be your coworkers, could be your family, could be your friends. We'll talk about what those is a 5-day course you're going to join, inshallah, and once the book goes live, inshallah. So this is also a really good value for those who are joining us, live, inshallah, from other parts of the world. If sometimes, ordering 1 book just with shipping, right? Sometimes can get very expensive. When you have 3 books, it gets better with shipping. Again, unfortunately, because of the shipping rates, sometimes things can go haywire. So we recommend if you're going to live internationally outside the US, then getting at least 3 books, or maybe getting a few family and friends to join together. That's a better way to order a book, inshallah. Now, this is for the ambassador. Now, for those of you who are called champions, those of you who have been with us for a long time, have one or new perhaps, but excited about this message of barakah, well, we're excited to offer the Barakah Culture Champion. Now, you get 10 books, the calculated hardback. You get barakah themed gifts as well, the same thing, additional stickers and pins and coasters, and also the 5-day online course as well. Again, this is a good value for those who are living internationally, want to send the book, inshallah, for other parts of the world. So these are the 3 main sort of ways to support to pre-order the book. Now, of course, once the book goes live, meaning it goes live on Amazon, goes live, and it will go live by 26th of January, 15 Rajab. That's when the Kindle version, the audiobook version, others will go live. Right now, this is only for the hardback pre-order version. The paperback, we're not sure the date yet. We're starting off with hardback, and inshallah, I will see about the paperback later on. But for now, we're starting off with the hardback, inshallah. So a few questions. When will the book be shipped? The book will be shipped by 15th of before, hopefully 15th Rajab, which is 26th of January. We're hoping much earlier, but as soon as the book hits our warehouses, we're going to start shipping. So that's going to be inshallah. So you'll be especially if you live in the United States or other parts of the world where we can get you or you order expedited shipping, we can get your books much earlier than the official release date, inshallah. Is international shipping available? Yes, we ship worldwide. And, so we have shipped the book before worldwide, although I highly recommend, if you're going to go international shipping, you choose the expedited version because that has full tracking and you're much more likely to get it. If you choose the economy version, sometimes things get lost in normal mail. So if you're really keen to get the book, I recommend get expedited shipping. And like I said, get at least 3 to 10 books. Maybe join a few friends and order it together so it's cheaper per book with shipping. That's the better way for those who live international, inshallah. Will you cover custom fees or import duties associated with shipping? So of course, we don't cover those. That comes part of the shipping. So you might pay for shipping, and then when you get to the border, you might have FedEx or so DHL will say, hey, there's a duty you have to pay. Unfortunately, we don't cover that. Just to be upfront and clear, inshallah, because we can't guarantee what each country will charge. Normally for books, though, my understanding is normally most places around the world, books they don't charge for custom fees or import duties, or if it's a very low amount. However, do check and just make sure before you order if you're concerned about that. Can I order the book in bulk for resale distribution? For those of you who want to order at least 50 books or more, you can reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with our publishers. You can connect with them directly, and you can order, inshallah, for those who want to order at least 50 books or more, and you'll have a group sort of discount on those bulk orders, inshallah. What is the Barakah Ambassador Bootcamp? So this is a 5-day bootcamp with an online course that will be covering how to be a Barakah Culture Ambassador. So we'll talk about what are the key ideas you need to share with people, what are the key ways to make people understand Barakah culture, how do people appreciate Barakah culture, and what are the tools and ways to kind of make Barakah culture reality in people's lives, inshallah ta'ala. So this will go live, inshallah ta'ala, about a month after the release of the book, inshallah ta'ala. So keep an eye on your emails for that. Can I cancel my pre-order? Of course, it'll hurt us. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. Up to you. If you want to cancel pre-order, just let us know before we ship the book. Now, up until we ship the book, you can cancel. But once we ship the book, unfortunately, we cannot cancel because we already incurred the cost of shipping as well. But if you do decide to cancel, you have until the date when we ship the book, which again is roughly around January, inshallah. Is there an ebook, Kindle, or audio version? Yes, there is, but it won't be available till we go officially live on 26th of January. So if you do want to the ebook version, the Kindle version, you have to wait till 26th of January. If you want the audiobook version, we also have an audiobook version, audible version. It'll be released on the 26th of January. Before then, we're only offering those pre-orders. Again, the benefit of ordering through us versus, let's say, other stores is that we're giving all these exclusive gifts for those who follow Barakah Muslim, inshallah ta'ala. So feel free to order as well, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, that's more about the book. But again, like I said, this is not just a book. I hope you don't see this as just another book which you kind of put on your shelf and then forget about. We're trying to, you've been trying to spread this message of Barakah culture. Imagine what it means when we start living a more God-centered life. Imagine it means we start living more, focusing on purpose, impact-driven. We're more hereafter focused, right? This is about these what I said in the email. These are foundational minds that we've forgotten. Hustle culture has completely, almost like messed up our psyche, right? We forgot what it means that we are abd of Allah Ta'ala. We forgot what it means to be akhirah focused, akhirah centered. We forgot what it means to let go sometimes of the shackles of individualism, materialism, consumerism, and do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this whole idea of Barakah culture is for us to kind of understand, first of all, live it in our personal lives, and then share with others. So really, really hope that you would join us in this movement. If you want to get the book, inshallah ta'ala, to read more, understand more, be part of this journey, we'll be honored to have you as part of this journey. And let's work together to spread Barakah culture globally, inshallah ta'ala. I'll be here for a few more minutes to answer any questions, inshallah ta'ala. Let me see. Please, if you have any questions, you can please post the Q&A so I can see them. I see some questions in the chat. Let's see. So Rati, Kindle version, when is this? So Kindle version ready by 26th of January, inshallah ta'ala. Can we add the cards with it? The cards is ordered separately, inshallah ta'ala. When the Barakah workshop is scheduled, the Barakah workshop is scheduled about a month after the book is released. And we want to give you enough time to read the book so that before we actually do the schedule, inshallah ta'ala. Yes, Kindle version will be 26th January. Do you say we ship from Turkey? No, the books will be actually shipped from the US. So the books are printed and published, printed in Turkey, but then they're distributed all over the world. Our fulfillment center is based in Dallas, Texas, and you'll be getting the books from Dallas, Texas. I know sometimes it's like, it goes easy, all the way here and then come back that way. So, the way that international shipping works these days. But it will be, inshallah ta'ala, shipped from our fulfillment centers in the US, inshallah ta'ala. All righty. Where can I get the books? If you go to that link, you can get the book, inshallah ta'ala. How's the new book different from the early Barakah Muslim book? So the Barakah Muslim book, if you remember, that was a heavily productivity focused book, right? It was about energy, focus, and time. I went to energy, focus, and time in more details, very, very it's more about productivity. This book, the Barakah Effect book, the way I describe it is like the psychological and philosophical foundations for the Barakah Muslim book, right? It's almost like what it means. Yes, you can have energy, focus, and time and be productive, but then what it means to be productive when you are God-centered, when you are akhirah focused, when you have, when you understand the mindsets, values, rituals. So there's a lot more psychological, philosophical. And yes, there is, of course, practical. As always, I love my work. I try to be very, very practical. But Barakah Muslim book is much, much more practical, inshallah ta'ala. So really looking forward to inshallah ta'ala. Have you considered 40 hadith? I've considered quite a few of those, inshallah ta'ala, but definitely we'll work on that, inshallah ta'ala. All righty. Okay, let's see any quick Q&A questions here. Or is the audiobook version? Answer is already yes, the audiobook is coming 26th of January, but that you need to order separately from audible.com when it becomes available 26th of January. Did you create a package with an ebook or Kindle version? Unfortunately, because the Kindle audiobook version is a different platform, right? Kindle and Audible have the distribute the audiobook version, the Kindle version. So we cannot combine the packages. The packages is what we have on our website, inshallah. Will the bootcamp be recorded? Yes, the bootcamp will be recorded, and you'll be able to join, inshallah, the bootcamp, inshallah. Available, will the bootcamp be available on Thinkific? Yes, it'll be done via Thinkific, most probably, inshallah. Yes, do you offer youth workshops? Again, we shall talk about book tours and live book tours. It all depends right now. So we haven't planned any book tours yet. Once the book goes live, we'll be announcing those, inshallah, as they come along, inshallah. Is it possible for book tour? Yes. So we'll definitely be thinking about book tours, going around book tours. But inshallah, that's something we need to plan properly, right? So, right now we haven't put together a book tour plan yet. It's something we're talking with the publisher. But once the book tour goes up, inshallah, we'll be doing some book tours around the world, inshallah. Can we order the cards with it? Yes, you're more than welcome to add the cards to your cart. It doesn't come as a package, again, because of just the logistics of it. But of course, you're more than welcome to add the cards to it, inshallah. Can you book from Saudi Arabia? Inshallah, we'll be working with wholesalers around the world. So a lot of the wholesalers we've been working with in different parts of the world. If you know a wholesaler, again, this is another way. If you're living internationally and international shipping is expensive for you, if reach out to your local Islamic bookstore and, hey, listen, you need to order this book in bulk. It's coming up in January. Make sure you order some for us. So reach out to your local bookstore. We would love to support independent Islamic bookstores. A lot of these, I really want to help them, just go around and get the book shot out. So reach out to them. They know they can tend to contact us, and they can shout out. We can connect them with the publisher to order books directly. And that way you have some local suppliers as well, shout out. So yes, were there any parts of the world, shout out. Some places around the world might need some authority approval, but inshallah should be no problem, shout out. I use Audible, but this will not be an Audible. Yes, it will be Audible. So Iman, the book will be available on audible.com, but on 26th of January, not now. Just as the key thing, inshallah. I'm changing my address in a month. Yes, put the new address, because the book probably will not be shipped till January, inshallah, Adib. So if you're changing your address, make sure you choose the address that we'll be using. Any African country, of course, we ship worldwide. So yes, if any African countries would like to also order the book, wholesalers, more than help, inshallah. Is the book similar to or different from Barakah Journal? It is a lot different. The Barakah Journal was and it had like 30 pages of content, and then of course a journal. This is it's a big book. It's like 450 pages. I don't want to scare you with the number, but it is a big book. It is a heavy book, but it's a short book. It's easy to read, but also has a lot of ideas. So it's a lot different from the Barakah Journal, inshallah. Languages, right now, it is in English language, but inshallah, we will proceed with the translations once the book goes live, inshallah. Is the bootcamp relevant if we're going to? We'll talk about the certifications as well. This is the 5 days, very short. So it's not a certificate, it's more like a short bootcamp, just to teach you the language you need to share about Barakah culture. Certification is a different program, which we'll go again share about, inshallah. If 3 friends get the 3-book package, do they all get access to the bootcamp? That's a good question. All right, fine. Just send us an email, let us know. That's very kind of you, I think, of 3 friends. But yeah, let us know, inshallah. Send us an email. We can make that work, inshallah. I love it. I love people do that. It's awesome. Do you have a train a model to live? Yes, we do have train models, but inshallah, that's something where we cover in future announcements, inshallah, coming soon. We haven't finalized. We have the certification program. That's something for future programs, inshallah. Inshallah, jazakumullah khair. We'll definitely pass the salams to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Barakallahu fikum. Is it possible to put this in a 5-day boot camp? Bookstore. Yeah, so this is only for those who buy online. So if you buy the book from any other sources, not our online stores, that's the only way you can keep track of the online of the package. So if you buy the book from other places, of course the gifts that come with it only come if you buy from our online stores. So I hope you can buy from online store. That way, inshallah, will be easy for us to follow through, make sure you get access to the boot camp and so on and so on, inshallah. How long are pre-orders open for? So that we'll be open until, we're hoping once the book hits our fulfillment center, which are probably the first week of January, we'll close pre-orders and now become like full orders. But for now, it is open, at least definitely for the month of November, probably part of December. As soon as the book hits our shelves or hits our fulfillment center, it'll be, of course, live ordering, and we'll take away the pre-order, and we'll take away these packages as well, inshallah. Available in Pakistan locally. Again, it depends who orders it. Of course, if you have Islamic bookstores who can import for us, it'll be great, inshallah. When the book hits Amazon, will it only be available on Amazon? No, it'll be available. Again, depends on the publisher. It most probably will be available on all Amazons. But again, depends. It's wherever Barakah Muslim book is. I think Barakah Muslim book is available on most Amazons. So you can check where that is, and it will probably be the same, inshallah. All righty. Can I get a show of hands? So let's see right now. There's a show of hands. How many of you have already gone ahead and pre-ordered the book? Let's see. Awesome. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Thank you. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair. I really, really appreciate. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala barakah in your time. I hope you find this useful and really excited. Again, we'll be sharing a lot more things will be coming out from Barakah Muslim regarding Barakah culture. And I hope that we all can work together to spread this message. Please tell your family and friends to know that they can actually go ahead and get the Barakah book, Barakah inshallah ta'ala, spread the word. And again, there's just so much that we, like, you can tell there's a lot there, but inshallah ta'ala, I hope that, we'll take a step by step. We'll take a step by step. I don't want to overpromise at this point. I just want to take step by step, inshallah ta'ala, and hopefully you'll hear more from us as we go along with this launch and beyond, inshallah ta'ala. Awesome. Can I get it here in Turkey? I wish I can just go across and get it in Turkey, but you have to just go to the US and order it, all the way back to you, inshallah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you, Hussein. Awesome, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khair. All righty. Any other questions? Any other question? You type in. Thank you. Yes, beautiful. This emblem was actually, it's probably, here's a story, Barakah story about the emblem. So this emblem, or this logo of the Barakah, was actually by, there was a lady, her name is Khadija Annette. She's actually the bookstore manager for Zaytuna bookstores in California. And she had a blog called Barakah Life. And she asked Suraya Said from Inspired Design to design a logo on Barakah. So she was the original sort of client for this logo. When I was doing my workshop on the keynote address on Barakah culture, on Barakah, the missing soul productivity, I asked the same design, again, unknown to me, I asked the same designer, hey, can you do like the slides for this presentation, for this keynote address? And he asked Khadija if he can borrow this logo. She was not using that time. Can you borrow this logo to use for my presentation? So Khadija agreed. So I used my presentation, and I just loved it. I just really loved it. So I asked Mukhtar and of course his wife Suraya, like, hey, can I buy the rights to this logo, because this is beautiful. I love it. He said, well, let me ask the client. I didn't know who the client was at the time, so let me ask the client. So okay, sure. So he asked her, and then she says no problem, and then we bought the rights, and alhamdulillah, we have the rights to this logo. And then like a couple of years later, I was visiting Zaytuna College. I go and see Khadija and Annette, her bookstore in Zaytuna College, and she goes, "Oh, you got the logo from me." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're the original owner." So I never knew. It was such a beautiful, Barakah. It was just Barakah moment there where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how Allah planned it, and now it's becoming a symbol. And one of the reasons all of us were visual, right? And when we see something, imagine this becomes this symbol for this moment, right? The Barakah logo. There's like a yin yang, right, type of symbol where there's all these symbols around the world. Imagine if this becomes a symbol for Barakah culture, right? We have the laptop stickers. You have people walking around. You see the Barakah pins on them. You say, oh, the part of Barakah culture. That's what we're going for. So again, I really hope that you could be part of this movement and really just enjoy this journey, inshallah ta'ala. All righty. Okay, so I hope you like that story. Inshallah, jazakumullah khair. All right, let me see any more stories, any more questions here. So, inshallah. All right, jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for those who joined live and for those who watched the recording. Barakallah feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in your time, put barakah in your children, put barakah in your families, put barakah in your wealth, put barakah in everything you do. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you and make you all part of this Barakah culture movement that inshallah ta'ala will contribute towards the benefit of this ummah and the khair in this ummah and the increased ummah and the victory in this ummah. Jazakumullah khair. Again, I'm so thankful to all of you being part of this journey with me, and I look forward for you to reading the book, to living the book, and sharing your stories of how the book impacted your life, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.